Number one, let's start with what happened yesterday, because she has gone viral, all right? She's gone viral over hot girls eat Arby's. Yeah, she was wearing this outfit, this arrangement into the Chicago Sky game. Of course, the Indiana Fever, I would like to say, beat the brakes off the Sky, but really it felt like they underachieved a good bit yesterday.
What if the moment that flipped the WNBA wasn't a buzzer beater, but a t-shirt? One line across the chest, 4 words, and suddenly the internet decided a roast beef slogan had more gravity than half the league's marketing. Hot girls eat Arby's. Sophie Cunningham wore it, the cameras found it, and everything that followed felt less like a coincidence and more like a pressure point. Because this wasn't just merch, it was a mirror. And a lot of people did not love what it showed back. But that was just the beginning. You don't go viral by accident in 2025. Not like this. Months before Barbie night, Sophie posted a quick video rating Arby's like it was no big deal. 9 out of 10. Casual, honest, no PR varnish, just her.
About Arby's. She is now on the Arby's payroll. Decided that it was a match made in roast beef heaven. Hot girls eat Arby's. No knock on Arby's, Sophie, but if you give Arby's 9 out of 10, I'll take you to Racks. I'll buy you some Racks, and I think you will find that hot girls probably eat Racks. Arby's has a new spokeswoman, and it just so happens to be Sophie Cunningham. Yeah, that's right. Sophie Cunningham, who took to her social media to discuss how much she enjoyed a trip that she made to Arby.
The phrase started floating around. Then she doubled down with the shirt. And in a league that's constantly telling fans how to feel, Sophie let them decide for themselves. That tiny pivot from telling to showing turned a midweek game into a cultural moment. The league wanted choreography. Sophie gave them chemistry, and the internet ate it up. But then it got louder, because when someone who isn't supposed to be the center of the story steps right into the frame, the script starts shaking. The Indiana Fever already had the headline magnet. Caitlin Clark pulled in new fans by the busload. Aaliyah Boston kept the foundation steady. But look around the timelines after that chippy Connecticut Sun game and you'll see it. Sophie getting labeled the enforcer. The teammate who doesn't complain, doesn't flinch, just shows up and handles business. No passive-aggressive posts, no reality TV energy. A few hard screens, some tough possessions, and suddenly she's the one people think will answer when things get rough. That reputation moved faster than any press release, and after Phoenix, it exploded. Here's what changed. The WNBA's noise floor has been high all season. Debates, think pieces, beefs that burn out in a week. The usual cycle. But Sophie cut through the static because she wasn't trying to. No fake lashes, no staged locker room TikToks, no watch me dance after going 2 for 10 energy.
Somebody that has gotten ridiculously popular this year with the Indiana Fever. I made a prediction that she was going to be the second most popular player on this team by the end of the year. And then, of course, there was the big incident during the Connecticut Sun game. And by the end of that game, she was known as Caitlin Clark's enforcer, right? The one that's got her back. At times, it feels like the only one that's got her back, if I'm being quite honest.
Just a shirt, a smile, a little grit, and a lot of timing. Fans can smell the difference. They always could. They just haven't been given enough of it. And once you see how light moves toward what feels real, everything else starts to look like theater. But the plot thickened. Arby's saw a match made in roast beef heaven and pounced. One brand tap, one clean partnership, and the narrative locked into place. Fast food merch outperforming ticket sales. Follower counts jumping like alley-oops, from a few 100,000 to 800,000 plus in a flash. Jerseys sold out, clips racking up views. And while everyone else argued over who deserved what spotlight, Sophie built one that didn't need permission. You don't stumble into momentum like that. You stack it. The timing, the messaging, the low effort, high-impact simplicity, this was marketing judo. Use the league's weight against itself and flip it without breaking a sweat. But a flip always shakes someone loose. That discomfort came fast. The same crowd that spent years begging the world to pay attention started gatekeeping who gets the praise when the attention finally arrived. Too pretty, too brand-friendly, too attached to the Caitlin Clark effect. anything to explain away the fact that fans were choosing someone who didn't fit the pre-approved mold. And then came the petition after that hard foul.
700,000 followers overnight. I don't know if you guys knew, she had like 300 or something less than 48 hours ago. Insane. The enforcer has arrived. And she even posted like twice since then, bro. She's totally taken it to a whole new level. Like, Caitlin Clark has a new star. This is like a new star in the WNBA. People ain't gonna like it. People aren't gonna like it. Trace Leches, you know what I'm saying? Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hull, which, by the way, kind of was obsessed with her before.
Remove her from the league, they said. Meanwhile, the comment sections flooded with support, the jerseys sold out faster, and the message got clearer. People don't want curated chaos. They want competitors. The league can argue over aesthetics. Fans are buying into energy. And it kept building, let's be honest. The WNBA is a better product than it's ever been. The talent is serious, the rivalries are brewing, the ratings are up. But marketing gets weird when it starts rewarding performance art over performance under pressure. When the loudest clips are about side eyes, not close-outs. Sophie's emergence put that imbalance under a spotlight. She doesn't try to be the loudest. She ends up the most watchable because it feels like there's no middleman between her and the moment. And here's the twist. That kind of presence is more threatening to a system than any choreographed feud. Because you can't schedule authenticity. You can't fake timing. You can't teach fans what to love. They just show you. And then it escalated. The enforcer tag became a brand boost. Not because she's out here hunting people, she's not, but because she refuses to let her star teammate take hit after hit without consequence. Basketball is a contact sport. The WNBA is physical, chippy, emotional. Fans want to see that when lines get crossed, somebody answers. Sophie answers. Not with tweets. With plays. One retaliation foul, and half the timeline was mad while the other half bought merch and said finally. It wasn't about violence. It was about value. Protect your team, protect your stars, protect your locker room. The league needs that identity just as much as it needs buzzer beaters. And the numbers backed it up instantly. Here's what the metrics say when you strip away the noise. Viral clip? Check. Follower surge? Wild. Sold out jersey? Immediate. National brand tie-in? Done. None of that happens by accident. It happens when a moment feels like it belongs to the audience.
As you can see right here, that's Sophie Cunningham. She is the teammate of the year. Or at least the Caitlin Clark she is. After Caitlin Clark was pushed to the ground and poked in the eye in the first half of a game against the Phoenix Mercury, she actually late in the game assaulted one of the Phoenix Mercury players in retaliation. And fans loved it. They ate it up because look at this. If you look closely, her following on TikTok went from over 300,000, which was great, to almost well over 800,000, probably at 1 million now.
Not the algorithm. Sophie gave people something to rally behind that wasn't a press conference soundbite. It was a feeling. Finally, someone who plays hard, talks straight, and doesn't make every possession about personal branding. And that feeling travels. It got bigger. What really spooked people wasn't the shirt. It was the realization that she didn't need anyone's gate to get in the game. She saw what Caitlin brought. New eyes, new energy, new scrutiny, and found a way to add value without pretending to be something else. She read the room. Then she read the court. And while old school narratives tried to reduce it to a lucky wave, it kept becoming obvious. This wasn't luck. It was literacy. Media literacy, momentum literacy, fan literacy, the kind that turns a slogan into a signal. And the signal was received. Meanwhile, let's talk about the on-court piece everyone keeps pretending doesn't matter. None of this sticks if she's not playable. The Fever don't have time for mascots. They're trying to win. Teammates don't crown you the enforcer if you can't hold your own in real minutes. Coaches don't keep handing you assignments if you're just vibes. The casual viral cycle forgets that part. The professionals don't. And that quiet respect from inside the arena bleeds into how the outside world reacts. People can tell when a narrative is backed by substance. They may not be able to stat it in the comments, but they can feel it.
Last week, or not last week, a couple days ago, when Caitlin Clark got destroyed, her girl Sophie came to her defense, and this was the most beast mode thing that I've seen a woman do in WNBA history. Now, Sophie who's my one of my favorites now. She's become one of my favorite WNBA players. I'm gonna watch her too, like I watch Caitlin. Look at what she did. And people may not say that this was in response or whatever the case may be, but I feel like Sophie is like, you want to play?
And they responded. While the drama machine kept cranking out clips, Sophie kept showing up like clockwork. The message stayed the same: be present, play hard, own your choices. That's why the Arby's thing didn't backfire. It wasn't thirsty. It was funny. It was self-aware. It matched the person people thought they knew from the court. Brands don't build that. Players do. The best ones do it with a light touch, like they've got a read on the moment that everyone else is a half step late to. And that half step is the difference between viral and forgettable. It widened. By now, you've got two paths in front of you. The first is the old one: push a narrative until the audience gets bored, then pivot to a new one. The second is newer and harder: identify real catalysts and get out of their way. Sophie is a catalyst. Not the star of every game, not the headline every night, but a force multiplier. The player who makes the team feel a little tougher, the fan base feel a little closer, the league feel a little more honest. That's valuable. That's scalable. That's the whole point. And it's exactly what the WNBA should be studying. Because here's the part no one wants to say on record: if authenticity looks like a threat, the system is fragile. If a teammate defending a teammate sparks outrage, the culture is confused. If a shirt can move more hearts than a campaign can, the marketing is missing the moment. Fans are telling the league what they want in real time. They want substance with swagger. They want rivals who respect the game and still make it personal enough to feel. They want players who make them believe they're not wasting emotional energy on a scripted product. And when they get it, they reward it. The receipts are everywhere. You can't curate culture. You can only catch it. When Angel Reese stirs a room, it's because she believes every word. When Caitlin Clark lasers in on a shot, you feel the work she put behind it. When Aaliyah Boston anchors a defense, it reads like truth. And when Sophie Cunningham walks into your feed wearing an Arby's tee and then backs it up with a little edge on the court, that's consistency. That's why it sticks. That's why the petition melted into a punchline while the jersey count ticked up and the follower numbers spun like a slot machine. The moment wasn't about fast food. It was about fast recognition. Fans saw themselves in a player who didn't need a committee to be interesting, and they stayed. Is there a risk? Always. When you lean into a moment, you can overplay it.
That when you are good at basketball, you're pretty, and you got grit, those three things make you bad to the bone. And I think this is one of it's new trends that's going on in the WNBA, in my personal opinion, is that not only will you be good at basketball, but you also, some of these women don't look like women, right? They used to look like dudes, but now they look like beautiful women that are playing basketball. And one thing I like about Sophie is that she's tough.
When you answer physical play with physical play, you can cross a line. When you go viral, backlash is baked in. But momentum isn't about avoiding risk. It's about understanding it and moving anyway, with purpose. That's the difference between clout chasing and brand building. One burns hot and disappears. The other compounds. Sophie chose the path that compounds. That's why we're still talking about it. So where does this go from here? If the league is smart, it uses this as a blueprint instead of a battleground. Let stars be stars, let rivals be rivals, and stop trying to police the path to relevance as if there's only one. Highlight the grit without sanitizing it. Celebrate the skill without burying the personality. Put real stories in front of cameras without forcing them into tidy boxes. The product is better when the people are allowed to be themselves. This week proved it again. And for the fans who feel like this came out of nowhere, it didn't. It was months of small signals that finally synced. The Arby's rating, the viral tee, the protective fouls, the follower surge, the sold-out jerseys, the brand tap, the chorus of critics, the louder chorus of support. That's not chaos, that's a curve. And if you keep tracking it, you'll notice something else. The players who win the longest aren't the flashiest. They're the most fluent. Fluent in the game, fluent in the moment, fluent in the way people connect. That fluency is what you watched this week. In a league that keeps asking the world to care, Sophie Cunningham reminded everyone how caring actually works. You don't demand it, you earn it. You don't script it, you spark it. You don't pretend to be bigger than the team. You make the team feel bigger than it did yesterday. That's why a t-shirt hit harder than a TV spot. That's why a retaliatory foul read like loyalty to half the arena. That's why a brand partnership felt more like a wink than a cash grab. It all lined up because the person lined up with the player. So no, this wasn't an accident. This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't a fast food fever dream that fades when the timeline refreshes. This was a player reading the moment and moving with it so cleanly that everyone else had to react. It rattled some cages. It energized a fan base. It exposed some insecurities. It crystallized what works. And it left one question hanging over everything. If authenticity can do this in a week, imagine what happens when the league stops fighting it and starts fueling it. Hot girls eat Arby's was never the point. The point is that hot moments happen when the game feels honest, the players feel human, and the story writes itself. Sophie didn't beg for the pen. She just held the page still long enough for the ink to land. And now the page is turning. The only real question is who's ready for the next chapter.